the prediction by Lillian Bridges, the prediction for the metal auction on February 10th, 2021. And we kind of started the Healthy Seminars Chinese Lunar New Year party celebrations, our sale that we offer annually on that date. And then we're coming to the end. It's coming to the end of that 2-week celebration. And so we thought it'd be nice to play this again. Lillian's not with us today, but we're just doing the live replay for you guys to listen to this. If you want to hear the Q&A from the last time in the community library, that's available through your subscription, that version that you're seeing now also has the Q&A in that version of the library. So let me just tell you a little bit of housekeeping, and then we'll get this the lecture started. So as I briefly mentioned, we're having our Chinese New Year sale at Healthy Seminars. You can save 30% off of recorded on-demand courses, and that sale was extended until Sunday, February 28th. So you can take advantage of that. If you want to know what's happening in the Community Unity Immunity Lecture Series that we're offering, just go to the resource page, Healthy Seminars. So if you go to any page there on the menu, there's a resources. If you scroll down, depends on when you're watching this, you may not see this banner because the sale may be over by the time you're looking at this. But we do have our upcoming events, and we have our calendar events. So here we are on February 24th. So you can see that's what we had. These other ones that we did, COVID-19 pregnancy update, the history of forbidden points, an aging perspective on COVID-19. And you keep looking up here, Stick It to the Point, and PCOS by Sandro, my business talk. All those are in the community library. I do want to let you know that we have other things happening in March. So if you click on the next button, that will take you to March. You can see what's happening in March with these free live webinars that we do in the Community Unity Immunity Lecture Series. We kind of just put them up almost like a week or two in advance. So if you look at a month and you don't see something 2 weeks later, do check weekly, because we do kind of do those a little bit more spontaneous. They don't have any CEUs, so they're easy for us to kind of plan and get them up in a short period of time. Unlike our CEU PDA courses, we need to have those planned and scheduled months in advance. At the end of February, just so you know, Hamid Montakab is doing his Trauma and Beliefs in Chinese Medicine live webinar, approved for 5 live CEUs. So you can check that out as well on Healthy Seminars website. If you scroll down, you'll see what else is going on. So here's today, Lillian Bridges. So there's the calendar above. You can see that Yvonne Farrell on March 1st is doing a community lecture, a free live webinar, so you can watch that. On Wednesday, March 3rd, Susan Johnson is going to do a talk on Are You Ready for Master Dong's Magic Points? And then we have 2 mentorships, one starting on March 1st with Claudia and Deborah. Great opportunity for peer support. It's going to run for 10 months, and it starts on March 1st. And then Yvonne Farrell also has a mentorship. Her program starts on April 25th. Now, I mentioned this Community Unity lectures, and then I said we do have our resources. So I don't think I'm logged in here. Otherwise, I would show you the community library. I wonder if I can get you there. I'm going to take you to the website, but I won't be logged in. But if you go to the Community Unity website, and I will describe that if you have an account on Healthy Seminars, when you click on my account on the left-hand side, there's a menu bar, and it'll say, go to Community Library. So that's how you can get here easily. And as I mentioned, all of our past webinars, including this one and all the ones that we've done and continue to do on a monthly basis, they get archived, these recordings, for you to view with your subscription to the membership, to the Community Immunity Library. So you can go to this page, and this is where you can watch past lectures. And you can see here we list featured lectures, and then if you want to know what was the latest editions, they show up here as the latest editions. And then if you go into the community library, you can look at all the different topics. We have, we're right now at 184 lectures and growing. This is from the past 10 years of lectures that we put in this library that's available to you with your monthly subscription to that. So just want to let you know that is available. And lastly, I just want to go back. There's one more thing that's available for you guys on the Healthy Seminars website. Let's see if I can get, here we go, earn CEUs. And on the sale page, so if you click on the banner, it will take you to the sale page that we have. And at the bottom of the sale page, Lillian did a written document. So she created a document of her predictions. So it kind of goes nicely with this lecture. It's not the actual handouts from this lecture. It's a whole other document that she created for her predictions for metal ox that are available for you. And if you go to the Healthy Seminar sales page by clicking on the banner, and you just scroll down, and as you can see, we're just listing some information here, what's on sale, so you can see what's going on at Healthy Seminars. And we got some video previews you can look at. So you got to go through all that. But if you scroll to near the bottom, so I just want to let you know where that is, very near the bottom, there is an attachment. And that's where you can download her PDF copy that she made for this talk. It kind of goes with this talk. So I just want to let you know that's available to you. And again, if you want to know about upcoming live webinars that are approved for CEUs, click on this link. The next one is February 28th with Hamid Montakob. And we also have Susan Johnson coming up. And we just have a lot of fun lectures. So go check that out. Now, before I pass it on to the recording to watch Lillian, I just want to remind you that this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is not intended to be medical advice. This should not be interpreted as medical advice. If you have a health condition, please seek out a healthcare provider, because this is just for educational and entertainment purposes only. All right, team, let's bring up this video. I think it's about 53 minutes long. And as I mentioned, in the library version, there is a 20-minute Q&A that we don't include here, but you can see that Q&A in the library.
Thank you all for having me today. I really appreciate it. And thanks for joining us. I have to tell you, I've been doing the yearly forecast for 20 years now, and I'm still surprised that people are so interested. And I also am surprised that they're often quite accurate. I don't take that much personal credit. You have to understand that what I'm doing is I'm looking at the two elements of the year. One is the element itself of whatever year it is. The other one is the element of the animal. And then I'm really good at elements. So I look at those and see how they combine along with the personality of the Chinese astrology animal. I will admit that my uncle was actually a Chinese astrologer. So that's how I got my knowledge of the different animals. And I do this for fun. You know, I do this for, well, I want to know what's going to happen too. It's like, it's one of those things where I really want to concentrate and see what's going to happen. We are already in the Spring Festival. It started on February 3rd. And New Year's Day is actually this Friday, February 12th. The 11th, which is tomorrow, is actually New Year's Eve, which you can also celebrate. There's a whole lot of lucky foods that you're supposed to eat. You have 2 weeks to eat lucky foods. And if you want to find out what those are, I do have those on my food blog, 5-Element Food. And I recommend highly that you eat as many lucky foods as you can, because why not? And there's so many that you can choose from, so that's great. And in terms of this particular year, last year was tough, and everyone I know thinks it was tough. And this year's better. It's not going to get that much better that fast, but it will get better. So let me see if I can get, so it's not, oh, there it is. Okay. So we start off with what this ox is. And the reason why it's the golden ox is because of the metal, well, the metal element. Usually if it's a yang metal, it's going to be white. If it's a yin metal, it's going to be gold. And that's something that we're talking about. And the ox is a really revered animal. I think most of you know the story that the rat jumped on the ox's back in order to get to Buddha. And the ox got there first, but the rat jumped off and got in front of the ox. And so the ox and the rat are kind of tied together. So the first thing I want to say, and I did not write this down very much in the forecast, which is why it's good to come to the live talk, because I always remember things I didn't add. The tail of the rat is very active. And so we still are going to have some things going on because the oxes are slow moving and they're slow to get started. So even though we're starting the year of the ox on Friday, we may not see the ox fully coming in until March because the ox is slow and the tail of the rat is very active. And just the other day when I saw that glacier broke in India and that huge flood of water, I said, oh, the tail of the rat. And also this very, very cold that's coming down, this polar vortex. I go, oh, the tail of the rat. So we do have a little bit longer for the rat year to still kind of play out, even though it's done. It's still making some trouble, but the ox will definitely slowly start, bringing its energy in, and it's a lot calmer. It's a lot more peaceful, except if you aggravate it. But it's a revered animal because it's all about hard work and about getting things done, and it's cooperative because it works with the farmer, and it's all about growing things. And so there are some really good things that are coming. It's like it's definitely an animal that the Chinese believe is a symbol of something that's good, which is hard work, and then therefore reaping the rewards of it. And so one of the things that I have been very clear about is that it will take some time to get the rewards from the ox. But because we have a combination this year, which we'll talk about more in a minute, of yin metal over yin earth, we actually will see that the summer and fall months, when harvest occurs, that we'll have a lot more benefit. And there will be some really good things happening by the end of the year. It's going to be slow, though. And I am going to tell you, any of the animal signs that are very young or want to go very fast are actually going to have a hard year because they don't want to be patient. But this year absolutely requires patience. So I want you to go ahead and start doing your deep breathing and slowing down and getting ready and frankly resting, because one of the big issues that we'll talk about more also is that people are tired. They're tired of staying home. They're tired of being online. They're tired of all kinds of things. They're tired of political problems. They're tired. And so this is a year it's really important to also rest. And I think that's something that I want people to be aware of. I also have to say, because next year is a tiger year, which is really intense, we need to get ready for another intense year. So you might as well go ahead and get really rested and really in good shape for another interesting year. So I'm not going to give you too much more about the tiger year until then. But okay, so one of the other things that happened last year, which I knew was going to happen, was there was going to be food insecurity. And I don't know if you remember, but I certainly got nervous and thought, oh, I better order, more food to store in my cupboards. I was never one of the ones who stored lots of toilet paper. People did. But I stored lots of food. And I just knew there was going to be these food shortages, mostly because the supply chain wasn't actually functioning properly. And also the meat plants that got shut down, the farmers that couldn't get the food, to the stores. So this year, food will be available, and the food distribution network is going to be very, very good. Things will grow really, really well this year. So whether you're a farmer or you're a home, gardener, food will grow. So it's not going to be a year of having food insecurity at all. Okay, so this particular year is yin metal, and the combination of these two elements is really interesting to me. They are considered harmonious because metal comes from earth, it generates it. Earth feeds it, so they're considered harmonious. Last year, the biggest problem that I saw was it was a double yang year, which I did say was a potential for violence, and also a whole lot of protests sweeping across the country from the yang water. This year, we don't have that. So I don't see the same kind of protests. I don't see the same kind of violence. I don't see the kind of, aggressiveness that I saw last year. In fact, this year doesn't really allow for very aggressive behavior. It doesn't really allow for a lot of expressions of anger. It's really so much about being conciliatory, compromising, negotiating, all those lovely earth things. It's not about, fighting. And so I don't think anybody who wants to fight a lot this year is going to get very much energy from it. It's going to wear you out. So it'll be a lot calmer and a lot less contentious, and a lot less violent, which of course makes me really happy because I don't like violence. And I think that, yin behaviors will be really rewarded. And one of the things I didn't write down, which I want to emphasize right now, is that it's really important for men to actually access their yin this year, and for women also to access their yin this year. It's not that women can't mean, that men can't access it. It's just that this year you want to really show that. It's the year to be, the really kind dad. It's the year to care about your employees, and women, of course, need to be yin as well. They have a slightly easier time getting there simply because they're so yin on the outside, but it's simply not a year where yang is going to dominate. So that's next year and last year. I really want to emphasize how important it is for people to do yin. That being said, don't forget that yin is also more than things like passive. It's actually about being more emotional as well, and not expressing the emotion, but feeling them. And so, there is some things about quiet and rest and all those things that are very yin, but I so want to encourage you to please go with the energies of the year, because it's one of those things that if you don't, you won't be supported. And so I'm really encouraging people to get in touch with their yin. Okay. Oh, there's a typo I saw. Darn. Okay. So yin metal is interesting because it is a couple of things that the Chinese consider that are important. Number one, it's like jewels, and it's like gold chains and silver chains and platinum rings, and it's really very much about the adornment. So this should be a big year for wearing jewelry or buying jewelry. Good presents to give, jewelry this year. We'll talk about the dagger in a minute. It's also coins, and weirdly, it's also cryptocurrency, which when I realized cryptocurrency was something that was big this year, and then I started seeing in the news how much people are like getting involved with cryptocurrency, like Elon Musk buying a whole bunch of Bitcoin or whatever else he bought. It's like, oh, now that being said, it is going to boom, except that there's also some restrictive energy that may actually restrict the sale and use of cryptocurrency. So you can go ahead and invest it if you want to, but be careful because there may be some restrictions as well, because yin metal has mild restrictions. It won't be like last year where we like stayed home and weren't able to go out. It will gradually open up, but there's still some restrictions. It's not so free in terms of like that kind of Wild West energy that cryptocurrency is doing. The other thing that is really important about this one, fine dining is actually considered something that will come back. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really good at getting takeout from my little local, Thai restaurant or whatever. But I miss going out to nice restaurants. I miss going to places where they have, like cloth napkins and nice silverware. And that's going to be something I think a lot of people have missed. And so fine dining restaurants will actually get a really big boost this year. And I know they need it too. So that's really important. One of the trickier aspects of this year has to do with the fact that yin metal is the dagger. It's a jewel dagger. And last year we had that sword, which was kind of scary for me. But this year we have the jewel dagger, and it means a couple of different things. Number one, it means possible assassination attempts. Don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it could also lead to things like character assassination, where someone's reputation is damaged for whatever reason. It could also lead to things like feeling like you're being stabbed in the back by someone that you trusted. So there is that little bit of danger of that assassin. And according to the Chinese, the most dangerous assassin this year is actually female. So I don't know if that's actually true or not. It's just that the Chinese so equate yin with female that there's always a warning, with yin metal that watch out for the female assassin, the beautiful but deadly female assassin. So I don't know if that's going to come true or not. I kind of hope not, but that's something to be aware of. Okay. And the other thing that is really important because metal does care about freedom, and I said there's restrictions on money, but that's different. There won't be a restriction on movement as much as we get farther into the year. So I do see things opening up and people being allowed to go where they need to go. And I'm going to mention this more later, but metal has a lot of ideals. And one of the big ideals, for example, is schools and education. So I really think that schools will definitely start opening up, and not that long from now. But remember that the seasons of this year that are most beneficial are the ones that correspond to the elements. And the elements are, yin earth, and Yin Metal, which are fall, where summer and fall. So that's when things will really start getting better. Okay, and as the year progresses, you'll definitely see people socializing more. Although it's kind of funny because of the metal aspect, it'll limit the number of people. So it's really much more about small groups than it is about large groups. So you won't be seeing the giant parties, and you won't be seeing, the kind of huge conferences and things that we used to go to, which is kind of sad, but it is important to realize that there's some limits on the number of people that are involved in things. So I also think that there's other ideals that are important. For example, one of the things that I always equate the metal element with is the shoulders. And in terms of standing upright and holding the lungs that are full. So there's personal responsibility is one of the ideals of metal. And it is a strong thing this year for people to actually take responsibility and be responsible. It's also a year of efficiency. One of the things I didn't put on this PowerPoint that I want to emphasize that I put into the report, I think is really funny. I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm being kind of messy. I'm normally a person, I don't leave any dishes in the sink. I'm always putting them away. And I don't lay clothes on a chair or whatever. All of the last couple of days, I noticed I've been a bit messy. And I was like, oh my goodness. It's like, oh, there's dishes in the sink. And I'm so surprised. But I also know it's the earth. And then all of a sudden I go, that's it. So I really clean up. I don't even just clean up just the dishes that are in the sink, but I clean the counters really well. There's this vacillation between that earth kind of like easygoing, messy, and the metal going, no, it needs to be in order. And you'll kind of find yourself going back and forth between those two because that's the energies of the year, So if any of you've noticed that already, I always do things a little bit early. And I got my coat right over there, laying across the chair. I don't do that usually. Usually I hang it in the closet. So I'm watching this one because